Hi guys, today I want to talk to you about Supergirl and why I think the show is going from bad to worse. I'm starting to get concerned with the overall plot of the show, and it started to pick up. It really started to pick up in the sort of the second season when it went back to the CW, and now we're into the third season. It's fallen into this writing formula that has worked on the other shows, so they've adopted it for Supergirl, but for me, I'm just not on board. Now, the first problem is that they've adopted the seasonal bad guy, and unless you've got a really strong villain, seasonal bad guys really don't work. And the problem is that if you get a really bad villain, then you're stuck with that villain for the season, and there's nothing you can do. That's why I much prefer to have a villain that'll take up maybe 5-6 episodes, and then you can move on and then have another villain. Because even if it's bad, then that story's done out of the way and you're off to something new. For Supergirl though, they've got this good character, this good villain, but I think they've just taken the wrong approach. Like, completely the wrong approach. We've just had this episode now with Purity. So, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen season 3 of Supergirl, there is going to be some spoilering going on here. Now, this whole dynamic that they've got with Supergirl versus Reign, and they've introduced all these other elements such as the Legion and so on, but they've skinned the season with this nature versus nurture subplot, and that worries me, because almost inevitably nature versus nurture just doesn't work as a story element. The idea is that you can choose to be a better person regardless of what other people tell you, and that's a good message to put out there. But the story that they've sown, the ideas that they've put into the characters in the show, is that these characters are really evil people, and that they've adopted these characters to get around in everyday life. And it seems that the direction that Supergirl's going in is that these characters are somehow going to help resolve the situation, and that's just not good. Look, we've seen nature versus nurture stories play out before, right? I mean, like Total Recall is a good one, whereby the character of Arnold Schwarzenegger is really a villain, but he's adopted this new persona, and this new persona sort of wins out. But that's a completely new persona. That is a complete cut from what he was to what he is. And there's no back and forth. Whereas with these stories, you're just not being honest. When it comes to nature versus nurture, you're just not being honest. And they even addressed it in the last episode by saying Purity was simply adopting a character of Julia, and that there was a little moment towards the end of the episode whereby she stopped being Purity and started being Julia again, and I was just like, that's not how it's gonna work. That isn't how it's gonna work. Look, Melissa Benoist, right? She plays Supergirl, right? That's her character. That's a character that she has adopted. But when it's all said and done, at the end of the night, she takes a cab and drives home. Just because she nurtures the character of Supergirl doesn't mean that when she leaves the studio, she can just fly home. I'll guarantee you, she takes a bloody cab. So this whole idea that you can somehow overwhelm the nature of something just because you care, it's garbage. Like, for example, if you had an egg and the egg hatches and you've got a pet alligator, and it's a little baby alligator and it grows into a full alligator, what this plot line that they're currently doing is saying, don't worry, because you've nurtured it, it's not going to bite your arm off. Me personally, I'm not going to take that chance. And my worry for the end of the season is that I think I can already see the finale, whereby, because we've had this moment whereby Reign has beaten Supergirl, but then the team have shown up and Reign's gone into retreat, that we're going to have sort of Supergirl and her homies and Reign and her cronies, and they're going to go head to head, and there's going to be this fight, but then Supergirl's going to appeal to like purity to Julia, and she's going to turn back into a person and then suddenly turn against Reign. And you know, if that happens, I will be done with the show. I don't want to see that, because it's not a good right. The show is trying to be deeper than it needs to be, and you know, at the end of the day, you want to knock down, drag out fight that's going to end with Supergirl winning because she's bloody Supergirl. And I get that they're trying to be a little more creative and to have her hope be the thing that wins out and not her knuckles. But at the end of the day, it really kind of does come down to the fact that you can't overwhelm nature. It never does. Nature always wins. And it always has to. Otherwise you're just not being realistic. And I know, look, it's Supergirl, so they're not being realistic. I get it, I totally understand, I totally do. But they have to be sincere here, otherwise this season is done. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Let me know what you think of the story so far in Supergirl. Let me know in the comments down below. I nearly tripped over my lips and couldn't get that out then. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. Also, please hit the subscribe button and share this video as well. But until next time, I'll see you later, guys.